Hey guys, Chris here for Thomann's Guitars and Basses. In today's Guitar Tech Tips, I will show you how to check and set up the intonation of your guitars and basses. In this series, I want to show you how to get the most out of your guitars and how to fix the most common issues. I'm using as few special tools as possible to make it easier for you to follow. This time we'll talk about how to check and tweak the intonation of your instruments. I will show it on different guitars with all sorts of bridges and on a bass too. So bass players, don't worry, we got your back. If you don't want to miss other Guitar Tech Tips videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell. What is intonation? What does that even mean? For us guitar and bass players, the right intonation means that you have the correct pitch on all of the frets, from the first one to the last one. In order to achieve that, we need to adjust the length of the string that vibrates. You will change the length of the string by moving the saddle closer to the neck or further away from it. Before you start adjusting the intonation on your guitar or bass, make sure that the instrument is set up properly. We have some videos for you where we cover all the steps of a setup, and you need to do that first before you start fiddling with the intonation. You will need a couple of tools to adjust the intonation. It could be a screwdriver, it could be an Allen key, it depends on your guitar's bridge. You will also need a tuner and brand new strings. The strings have to be new because old strings will not give you the right pitch at the 12th fret. This happens due to corrosion and just metal parts wearing out and becoming sort of spongy. This is how you do it. Everything I'm doing on this bass is going to be exactly the same on all guitars that have a single saddle per string. I'm talking about Strats and S-type guitars, everything with like a hip shot style, fixed bridge, all that kind of guitars. Work on one string at a time. Tune it perfectly. And then check the intonation on the 12th fret. If the pitch is perfect on the 12th fret too, you're done with that string. You can move on. If the note at the 12th fret is flat, you need to move the saddle forward, closer to the neck. If the note at the 12th fret is sharp, you will have to move the saddle to the back, so further away from the neck. Try to remember this: flat, forward. So if the note at the 12th fret is flat, you have to move the saddle forward to the neck. It's also very important to tune the string after every tiny little adjustment on the saddle. You will move around the saddle so it will change the tension on the strings, which will detune them, obviously. On Floyd Rose loaded guitars, it's going to be a little more complicated. In order to adjust the saddle back or forth, you will have to release the tension on the string and then grab an Allen key, loosen the screw, and go for it. Unfortunately, you will not be able to tell how much you have to move the saddle back or forth because the string is not tuned. So you have to guess. Telecasters with 3-barrel style saddles. These guitars will not allow you to be that precise with your intonation unless they have some sort of a compensated saddle. We'll talk about it in a second. You will have one saddle for 2 strings. So E and A, D and G, B and E will share one. And you will have to accept compromises. Let's say you want to adjust the B and the E string. If you set the saddle for the E string to be perfect, the B will be slightly sharp at the 12th fret. What you can do is aim for the middle. This way both strings will be slightly off, but it will still sound okay. And to be honest, this is the best you can do with non-compensated saddles. There are plenty of different compensated saddles for these vintage Tele bridges. There are a few which will have a slight angle, some sort of an ideal angle, and some will have different carvings in different depth to compensate. Pro tip, if you enjoy the sound and feel of these vintage style tele bridges and saddles, but you don't want to have those compromises, try one of these compensated saddles. They're fantastic. We have a gear link in the description box. You will find a couple of options for these compensated saddles in there. If you have a traditional wraparound tailpiece, I recommend setting up the two E strings with these tiny little screws at the back. That's all you can do really, but funny enough, in most cases, this will give you a pretty much spot-on intonation already. Just like with vintage style Telecaster saddles, you will find all kinds of compensated wraparound bridges. This is an option from ABM. It's my favorite one, but there are other great options too. We have them linked in the description box. Let's take a look at the Evertune bridge. We'll only talk about intonation this time, but we will shoot a full episode on the bridge. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss that. You have to use these adjustment screws to set up the intonation. No surprises here. Flat forward, sharp back. All right, it's time for a test ride. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions left. Also, let us know what you want to see in this series. Don't be afraid of setting up your guitar or bass. It's time to become your own guitar tech. It's time for a test ride.